And although I know it's a long road back, I promise you.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Seth Feroce. I am an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. This status has been a lifelong dream of mine. As everybody knows, they have adversity in life. They need inspiration. They need to find motivation. That's one of the things I'm here to tell everybody about, my story. I've gone through a lot of adversity over the years, and today I'm going to give you my story and how I got to this point, and fulfilling my dream and living it every day. We're going to go back a while. When I was 13 years old, I was the fat kid. I didn't have a lot of self-esteem. My nickname was Chubbs. That was the name that my friends gave me. I really didn't like it too much. I was a young 13-year-old guy going through puberty. Everybody has self-esteem issues at that point in their life, and I was no different. I couldn't take it anymore. I specifically remember the day that I decided to change my mind. I was sitting on the couch at home, eating Snyder's barbecue potato chips, sitting there watching TV and flicking through the channels, and I came across an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and I always remember I saw my dad watching them all the time, and I was like, oh, I'll watch this. Dad watches it, and he came on, and it was the beginning of the movie, and it was whenever Arnold was carrying this big log on his shoulder. The movie was Commando. Some of you probably know what it is, but right whenever I saw that, I said, I want to be like that. I want to have those giant muscles, and I want to be, it was just something that I saw that I wanted to do. So I watched the whole movie. I put the bag of potato chips away, and I remember whenever my dad came home from work that day, I said, Dad, I want to lift weights. Kind of looked at me like, okay, sure. So he said he'll bring home the sand weights from whenever he used to lift weights back in the 70s and 80s. So sure enough, that weekend he came home. He brought home some of the weights. It was the old barbell with the sand weights, and then a couple dumbbells. And sure enough, that's where it all began. I went to a Catholic school whenever I was in grade school up until 8th grade, and I started lifting. I think it was like end of 7th, 8th grade whenever I started lifting weights. And I wanted to play football. I said I want to play sports. I want to try. So whenever I went to high school, I went to a public school, and I went out and played football and wrestled that year. I was actually pretty good. I turned out to be pretty athletic. I started getting in shape. But those sports taught me the mental and physical toughness. It really showed me that you got to be pretty tough to compete at those things, especially wrestling, with the weight drop and the brutality of the workouts and just being physical with other people. But after those seasons were over, my dad took me to my first gym. It's called York's Gym. It's in New Ken, Pennsylvania, where I live today. It was the hardcore gym. I mean, I still remember the smell whenever I first walked in. Whenever I walked in, I mean, my dad took me in, and he still says to this day, that's the day I lost you. Because whenever I walked in, he saw that I fell in love. That's where I wanted to be. And from then on, I pretty much stayed there. That was my second home. I mean, everybody knew me there, and I fell in love with becoming a bodybuilder. That's whenever I figured out that that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be a professional bodybuilder. I want to live the lifestyle. I want to lift weights and make money and be something and be inspirational, because over those years, I had so many people inspire me locally that it was unbelievable. I mean, today I still see them on a regular basis, and they say to me, you never gave up. I never gave up. But at some of those points, I mean, even like as growing through that phase of my teenage years, the friends that called me Chubbs, I'm 26 years old now, they still call me Chubbs. The name never lost. But I went through high school. I graduated. I decided I went to college. It was a good experience. I went to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It was a pretty wild school. But I got a degree in safety sciences, which OSHA, EPA, and DP regulations, and not really related to physical fitness, but I kind of self-taught myself over the years. But anyway, in college, I had a lot of fun, like a lot of people do. But in college, I believe I was a junior. I got my girlfriend pregnant. It was a devastating time. But at that point, I never gave up on my dream. I was still dreaming of being a bodybuilder, and that was a devastating point in my life. A lot of people told me, Seth, you have to put all that shit behind you and move on. You can't worry about this stuff. And I said, no. I said, I still want to live my dream. You know, they were like, no, and they were right. I had to focus on what was important, and that was my family. I knew my girlfriend at the time. She's my wife now. I had to put her first, and the baby, and everything was important. So I had to end up taking 52 credits my senior year. I had to get approval from all the from my counselors and whatnot, but I got the approval to do it, and I ended up everything ended up great. I graduated, but at that point, I had so many people say, Seth, you're not going to make it. You have to stop, and I wasn't taking no for an answer. There was no way I was going to give up on my dream. So I told my girlfriend at the time, Elise, my wife now, I said, Elise, don't take this away from me. I said, give me just this one thing. I said, I don't have to go out with my friends. I don't need to party. I don't need to do anything. Just never take the gym away from me. Please don't do that. Just let me have this one thing. And at the time, you know, she said, well, of course, you know, that's the one thing you enjoy, and I love you, and I want you to succeed. I believe in you. And she was about the only person that believed in me and said, Seth, you can do it. So I remember I worked 2 jobs. I worked at the bar, and then I worked for my father. I went to school. I took those 52 credits, and I trained at a gym that was 24 hours. I trained at like 1 a.m. And I mean, I really didn't sleep at all that time. But the thing was, I never gave up. I wasn't taking no for an answer. Through all that, I just wasn't taking no for an answer. Everything worked out after that for a little bit. I ended up going to work for Kokosin Construction as a safety consultant. I did a lot of road construction stuff. It was great. I worked from them from 2008 to about the middle of 2009. In 2008, at this point, I still wasn't competing as a bodybuilder. In 2008, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was their safety consultant, and I met a lot of great people out there, a lot of people that were getting me inspired to start competing in bodybuilding, because they were saying, Seth, you're really good. You should get on stage. And I was like, I'm not ready yet. Excuse me. And that was how I felt. But one thing led to another. I got promoted and moved to Cleveland. Moved the whole family up there. And again, I met some more people that were into competing. And I said, you know what? I said, I think I might do it soon. My wife at the time, we just got done looking at some pictures online at musculardevelopment.com, and after a show, and she's like, Seth, you can beat these people. I know you can. I was like, I don't know. She's like, I know for a fact. The guy that just turned pro, she says, you can beat him. You need to start competing, because I'm not putting up with your crap anymore, this eating, training, and da-da-da, and you're not competing. And I was like, okay. So I put together a game plan, and in 2009, I began competing. I remember my first show was the NPC Northern Kentucky. It was in March 14th, and at that show, I won. Turned out I won the heavyweight class, and worked out great. And everybody was like, wow. After the show, they're like, you look great. You know, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go do the Mr. Pittsburgh show. I said, the Mr. Pittsburgh I'm from Pittsburgh, and I said, I want to do that show because that's the big show. Between that time, I met some people into the industry. One person being Steve Bleckman, the owner of Muscular Development magazine, and Hani Rambod, the pro creator, the best trainer on earth. And they said, Seth, we'd like to come and see you at the Pittsburgh show. I was like, what? They're like, I heard you're pretty good. You have potential. And I was kind of taken back, like, why are you coming to see me? So at that time, I was like, let's go. Let's see what we can do. You know, I'm just gonna push to the next level. And Hani gave me some tips and lead it into the Pittsburgh. And it turns out I went and I won. Won my light heavyweight class, and I won the overall. And I said, all right. Well, at that show, all of a sudden, everybody created a buzz about me. Hani Rambod said, me and you are going to work together, and we're going to take you to the next level. Steve Bleckman, the owner of Muscular Development, saw me, and he said, I'm flying you to Venice. We're going to do a photo shoot with you in California. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Really? And it turned out, yeah, I mean, we did it, and I went out there, did the photo shoot. It was a lifelong dream, you know, to be in a magazine. It was just incredible. So after that, we decided to. I talked to Honey and I said I want to, attempt to turn professional at one of the shows, and the show that we chose was the 2009 Nationals. Meanwhile, I just started competing in, March of 2009. So I've done the 2 shows and I won, and I already got into a magazine. I created some buzz, and it was a really uplifting time. I was like, yeah, I said, this is great. I got a good job. I got one of the best trainers in the world behind me. I got Muscular Development Magazine. I'm going to be in articles. I just did a photo shoot with them. Everything was great. About 3 weeks later, I lost my job at Kokosing. It was devastating.